All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Check out Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We're also brought to you by Mancini's Sleep World. Mancini's is a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. They offer a 120-night guarantee with a range of brands and price points. With Mancini's, you get free next-day delivery. Click the link below or go to sleepworld.com and find a bed that works for you. Whether you shop online or visit in-store, use the code KRUG10 and you'll get 10% off. That's KRUG10, and you'll get 10% off in any of Mancini's locations or online at sleepworld.com. And thanks to Mancini's for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's talk a little bit about all the different things that happened on this Tuesday in Ninerland. Well, the Niners signed a player by the name of Luke Gifford. Gifford is a special teamer, and he's an interesting player for sure. He had an 83.9 PFF grade on special teams last season. He was tied for the most solo tackles on special teams with 10. He was ranked 28th in special teams grades, according to PFF, and this is out of 584 special teams players. So he's obviously a special teams ace. He was tied for 5th most special teams tackles in 2024 with 10. And he is your newest 49er, Luke Gifford, comes aboard. And, you know, he's kind of a narrow base guy. He doesn't have a lot of strength at the point of attack. He's really, you know, he's not a great player from scrimmage. He's more of a special teamer, but he does have above average pursuit ability and speed. He's got a good closing burst. He's got a long frame, good short area quickness. Last season, he played 203 snaps on defense with Tennessee. He had 24 tackles and 10 assists. He only had 2 missed tackles. He had a 60.2 PFF grade, 114th out of 189 linebackers. His worst grade came in run D. He was ranked 165th out of 189 qualifying linebackers. His best was his coverage grade. He was 37th out of 189 linebackers. He's played professionally. He played collegiately at Nebraska. He's played professionally with the Cowboys and the Titans. 329 snaps on special teams in 2024. So he's an interesting guy. He grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska. He was a dual threat quarterback and a defensive back at Southeast High School. So and then he went to the Nebraska Cornhuskers and played collegiately there. As a redshirt freshman, he played in 6 games. He played in just 4 games the following year. Landed a starting job as a junior where he had 39 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks in 7 games. And then a hip injury prematurely ended his season. He managed to play in all 12 games in 2018. He was the team captain. He was an honorable mention All Big Ten player, 62 tackles, team high in tackles for loss with 13 and sacks with 5.5. So good football player, productive football player. And, you know, I missed some time in 2015 and 2017 because of injuries. He's got kind of a thin frame. He gets knocked around, but he's a good special teamer. And, you know, he kind of plays a little bit out of control from scrimmage as far as a tackler, but on special teams, he's a real good player. So if you want to get good on special teams, you have to actually invest in some good special teams players. And Brant Boyer is the new special teams coordinator, and now Luke Gifford comes over and he signs a 1-year deal to be a Niner linebacker, but really he's more of a special teamer. Leonard Floyd has moved on, and this might be an indication that the Niners are close to signing Joey Bosa, because there was talk that maybe they would keep Leonard Floyd if they didn't get Bosa. But now Leonard Floyd has jumped. It's a 1-year, $10 million deal for him to go home. He's a Georgia kid. He grew up in the state of Georgia. He played at Georgia, and now he's going home to play for the Falcons. 1 year, $10 million. He gets a slight raise. He had signed a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Niners, but he gets a slight raise here to go to the Falcons. So good for Leonard Floyd. He's a good pro. He's a good dude. I thought he was a good 49er. He doesn't do tons other than sack the quarterback. He's not great against the run. He's not a real force against the run in any way, shape, or form, but he still is, he's still smart enough to run into about 10 sacks a year if he gets enough playing time. So he'll do well in Atlanta. They badly need a pass rusher from the outside there. Justin Reed signed a 3-year, $31.5 million deal to go home as well. He's a New Orleans guy or a Louisiana guy. Of course, this is Eric Reed's brother, Justin Reed. So he leaves Kansas City and goes to the Saints. Now, the Niners were interested, but they did sign Richie Grant earlier in the day. And so obviously Grant is going to be their addition at safety. That probably took them out of the running for Justin Reed, and his price tag took him out of the running. 3 years, $31.5 million for Justin Reed. Just a little too rich for the Niners' blood. The Cardinals have made an interesting move today. They signed Jacoby Brissett, so he's going to be the backup to Kyler Murray there in Arizona. That's interesting because they've got a number of different quarterback options there, but they went with the veteran Jacoby Brissett. As I mentioned, Richie Grant signed a 1-year deal earlier today with the 49ers. Grant, was a really good player, played at Central Florida, second-round pick of the Falcons, really good, productive player who intercepts the ball, makes big plays, went to the Senior Bowl and was impressive. He almost won the Thorpe Award his final year. He's been kind of quiet with the Falcons. He's just been okay, but I think he's got his best football still coming. And Richie Grant gets a 1-year deal to come to the 49ers. So Grant gives the Niners another safety after they lose Talanoa Hufanga. And the thing I like about Grant is he can play the deep middle. Hufanga really couldn't. Hufanga could not play the deep middle in a cover 3 or in man-to-man. And Richie Grant, I think, can play that deep middle. And in a lot of ways, I think Richie Grant could be the perfect starter opposite Malik Mustafa. Both Ian Rappaport, the Rap Sheet, and Tim Kawakami are both reporting that Brock Purdy, there is no deal that's imminent between the 49ers and Brock Purdy. So if you're waiting on a deal to be announced any minute on Brock Purdy, it doesn't sound like it's coming down the pike. Raheem Mostert, there's a rumor going around that the Niners have talked to Raheem Mostert. Mostert mentioned that he has had a dialogue with Christian McCaffrey about potentially coming back to the 49ers. And wouldn't that be an interesting addition if the Niners somehow added Raheem Mostert? Mostert was a very good player for the 49ers and a guy that they discovered as an undrafted player. And now he's out there free. He's coming off of a disappointing year in Miami. But the Niners apparently have reached out to Raheem Mostert and his agent about potentially coming back. Mostert just said this on the NFL Network. He says, I do got some juice left, obviously, but now it's all about trying to win. I got a taste of what it was like when I was with the Niners in 2019, getting to the Super Bowl, playing in that game and scoring as well. So once you get that, you definitely want to go back and you want to pick a team that's suitable for that occasion, but you also want to get that opportunity to go out and showcase you still got it. It would definitely be a great 1-2 punch. I talked to CMC, one of my guys. We've chatted quite some time over the years, and honestly, the Niners have been in discussion. I could just say that we've heard from them and trying to work some stuff out, obviously, but you never know. You can go in one direction and then flip within an hour to another direction, but everything's on the table for me right now. He's had an outstanding career. Last season, he was bad. He averaged 3.3 yards per carry. He broke just one tackle all year, and then he got benched. He'll be 33 in April. The Niners, for the most part, don't need older backs. They already have Jordan Mason, Isaac Guerrero, Patrick Taylor, and CMC. That's 4 running backs. It's probably more than enough. But if Mostert wants to come back and he's willing to do it at a reduced price, I think the Niners ought to show some interest. The Niners also offered J.P. Mason a second-round tender, which basically just means that if Mason were to sign elsewhere, the Niners have the right to match. And if the Niners opted not to match, J.P. Mason would then be able to go on his way to his new team. So they're basically, what it means is the Niners are offering him a 1-year contract at a set price. Other teams can still offer him a contract. If they do, the Niners have the right to match. If the Niners don't match, then the team that signs him would have to give the 49ers, since they tendered him with a second round tender, that team that signs him would have to give up a second round pick. I don't believe anybody's going to give the Niners a second round pick for Mason, but I do think that the 49ers will listen to offers and might take a third or fourth round pick in return for him. A couple other interesting notes. The Giants signed Javon Holland, the Bay Area safety, former Bishop O'Dowd star, 3-year deal for $45 million. He got $30.3 million guaranteed. I, among others, was saying the Niners ought to go for Javon Holland. He's just too expensive for what they're doing and for their budget. The Niners did resign Kevin Givens. He gets a 1-year extension through 2025. He was originally an undrafted free agent out of Penn State by the 49ers, and he's had 6 seasons with the Niners. He's played in 65 games, 14 starts, 91 tackles, 8 sacks. He's a good interior pass rusher. He's played in 9 playoff games. He's tallied 12 tackles and 1 pass defense. This last year, he appeared in 8 games, started 1, and had 11 tackles and a career-high 3.5 sacks. So Givens is still a good interior pass rusher, and he can give you some pass rush ability inside, and that right there in and of itself has extreme value. So the fact that Givens is back is probably a good thing for the 49ers. All right, there you go. There's the full update on all the news coming out of 49er land. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Mancini's for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.